All right, so this is the last part of the topic, and then we're done with compulsory content. So, what is a significant figure? Let's start there. So, this is basically a way of saying these are the numbers which give us useful information. So let me give you an example. Let's say I told you that the speed of light, you don't need to know this, the speed of light is 300,000 kilometers per second, or 300 million meters per second. So we'll use the standard unit. Now, that's a pretty large number, right? Turns out it's not actually 300 million. It's actually 297 million point something 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 something. So these zeros here, they're not actually telling me anything about the true speed of light here. It's kind of like it's been rounded. Okay? So the only digit that's really giving us information about the speed of light is this one here. So this is Josh Stewart, just a bit quieter. This is the only significant figure. All right. Hands up if you have the notes I gave out last week. That includes you, Talia. Do you have the notes that I gave out last week? You do. So please get them out. I don't have a copy on me right now, but I have one on the computer. So it looks like this. You want the second page of those notes. All right, so turn to the second page. At the top of the page, I have given you a summary of the rules to determine whether a digit is significant or not. All right, so you'll want to follow those rules. They're also listed in your textbook as well. All right, so have this handy because until you've got enough experience doing this, you'll need to refer to this from time to time. So the first rule is as follows. Rule 1. Any non-zero digit is significant. If the word significant doesn't mean anything to you, if the word significant doesn't mean anything to you, just think of it as useful, giving you information. So obviously, any number that's not zero, that's going to give us some information. So whenever you see a digit that's not zero, you'll count it as significant. The second rule is, in an integer that is a whole number, that's either what? Think back to last Monday. How did we define an integer? Not just positive. Yeah, which is either positive, positive, zero, or negative. So here's the rule. If you have an integer, any zeros at the end are not significant. Okay, so Talia, I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to apply just these two rules. How many significant figures are there in this number? Look carefully at the rules, Talia. There's only one y. Why is there only one significant figure? Very good. These zeros are at the end of the number. They're not significant. This is one significant figure. All right. Mia? I write this number here. How many significant figures do you think there are? 3? Which ones are they? Which ones are the significant figures? These ones? Why not the zeros? Okay, look carefully at rule number 2. What does rule number 2 tell you? They're at the end, so we don't count those zeros as significant. Okay, so there are 3 significant figures here. McKenna, let's go with you next. How many significant figures are in this number?
4.
Which ones are significant?
1, 2, 8, and 9.
Right? And why didn't you count the other zeros? Rule 2, they're at the end. Alright, you okay with this? Alright, we still have 3 more rules to add, and this is where the confusion starts to happen, but I'm going to try to hold it all together. We'll see whether we get there. Alright, so rule number 3. So what have I written in the notes? I've mixed up rule 2 and 3, but that's okay. Alright, any zero in between significant digits is also significant. So if we go back 1, 1, 2, 8, 9, 0, 0, 0 has 4 significant figures. Lockie, I might turn over to you now. How many significant figures do you think are in this number?
Top one and bottom.
Bottom one. So there's 4 in the top one.
You include 7
Lockie has asked a good question. Do we include the 7 as a significant digit? What do you think? Damon, you're nodding your head. Why?
Because it's a non-zero.
Right. Rule number 1. Any non-zero digit is significant. So that's the answer to your question. We're going to count 7 as significant. 1, 2, 8, and 9. Those are also non-zero. So those ones are significant as well. What do you think, Lockie, about the zeros?
Sorry.
What about these zeros here? Are we going to count those as significant? You don't think so? Have a look at rule number 3 again. Up here. So just those 5 that are underlined? Look carefully again, Lockie. So what do you reckon, Lockie? You think there's 7? Okay, why are you so Lockie has just changed his mind. So Talia, hope you are listening because you're next. Okay? So Lockie has just changed his mind about the zeros here being significant because he's looked carefully at this rule here. So notice that these zeros are in between the 9 and the 7, which are significant. So using rule 3, these zeros are in between significant digits, so we're also going to count them. Okay? So actually, all the digits here are significant. There's 7 of them. Okay, Talia. How many significant digits do you think there are here? Why? Okay, so why are you counting 1 and 7 as significant? Yeah, someone want to help Talia out? Why do we count 1 and 7 as significant digits?
Because they're non-zero.
Because they are non-zero. Remember the very first rule we stated, any non-zero digit is significant. You're always going to count a number that's non-zero. The question that we will always ask when looking at numbers is whether we count the zeros or not. Here, we have a whole number, and we have significant figures on both sides. So we are going to count them. So yes, the answer is going to be 3. Okay. It's getting trickier. Alright, Louis, let's go with you. What do you think?
It's 5.
You think there's 5? So which 5?
The 1, 2, 0, 0, 2.
So these ones, okay. Alright. So I agree with you, but let's explain the reasoning. Why did you discard these 3 zeros?
Because they're zeros at the end.
They're zeros at the end, so they are not significant. So I'll say rule 2, not significant. Okay, and from rule 1, we know that the 1, the 2, and the 2, those are significant. Why do we count the zeros in between them?
Because any zeros in between digits.
Any zeros in between are significant. Okay, so these zeros here, rule 3. Alright, you guys okay with this? Okay, so if you get these 3 rules today, that's a big win. The confusion starts once we have decimals. But rather than charging into that, maybe I'll let you just practice for a little bit with your textbook. And then maybe, because we've got 15 minutes left, so maybe next lesson I'll go over the decimals and review this again. Is that a question, Josh? No? Okay, I can come over. Yeah. Alright, so please carry on. We've got about 15 minutes left. You have worked quite well today.